right, Nick, we got a pretty spotless interior here. Spotless interior pro tips for how to prevent a mess.
Well, this guy is the epitome of no mess, nothing. This is an interesting story on this interior, or in this car that we're working on right now. I'll go through and get the dust bunnies and stuff here and the cracks and crevices. But this is a simple story to share, right? This car is going to be leaving the state and going to Phoenix.
Yeah.
So you have a customer here that basically is saying, hey, I got this car. I've had it in Oklahoma for a while. It's time for it to go to my other house. Doesn't get driven that much, but he asked for something particular. Mm-hmm. I want my interior protected. I want to get that dark, rich look because I don't know if I'm really going to have it maintained out there or drive it very much. So I just want to protect it. So let's walk through that a little bit.
Absolutely, because whether it's one that is getting shipped out or one that's going to stay in your garage, right? How can I prevent a mess? And number one off the bat, right? How to prevent a mess would be getting it regularly cleaned, right? We talked about that. We've got a couple products that you would use on the interior. Revive was one of them.
Yep.
Great to come in and leave that OEM finish.
That would be most people with this style of car, right? So, but in this case, he's looking for a little extra punch because he just isn't, this car's not going to get a ton more love, right? It's going to kind of sit around and he just wants to feel better about it.
Mm-hmm. And so what we're doing is we're coming in with Impress, but as you can see, right, with what you did, it's just a light dusting, and you don't see me continually, we don't have a scrub monster out, right? There's no deep scrubbing here. We've got some mist of Impress, and we're going to be richening up the leather, put it on the steering wheel as you saw, and then we just lightly flip over the towel, kind of even it out, and we're enriching that leather. Now the thing we're gonna make sure to not do is go over here and rub the screens with it. Nick, as we said, it's not like you damage it, but it's better to use Revive on the screens. Yep. We do have some conditioners, and it's better to just go ahead and leave this on the plastics and the leather itself.
Yeah. Here, I gave you that if you want to go through the steering wheel a little bit just to get any dust you may have missed. Yeah, I mean, this is a great product for what we're doing here. When you talk about preventing a mess on an interior, let's be kind of clear on something. The best way to prevent a mess is to take things like food and drink. People may not know this about me, so I'll share with everybody a little bit of my uptight nature about my cars. Not proud of this because I realize that it's going to sound weird. I won't even pick up food in my cars. I can't stand food smells. I can't stand having it. So, like, I'll pay a delivery fee. They're like, oh, my family will be like, can you grab that on the way home? I'm like, no, I can't grab that on the way home.
Yeah.
Can you just have it delivered? Yeah, like I can't stand it. I can't stand the smell of food in my car because you get in the next day, you still smell it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, still?
Yeah, and I mean, that's definitely this guy. I mean, he has prevented a mess for as long as I've known him, which is many, many years.
Yeah, I mean, you're what, more than a decade?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And his cars have always been like this.
Yep, always. Gets them cleaned regularly, but he has a schedule himself of not allowing things to get in here that would cause a disaster. That is a hard thing to do, I think, many times as parents.
Yeah. My family vehicle, one thing we did for those that have a family, so all the stuff that goes in to my kids' hands have the ability to be sealed up, and water bottles and things like that are automatically sealed themselves. They can't spill. So that was our little hack, is that, like we have these reusable kind of like thick Ziploc bag type things. Mm-hmm. So your snacks in the car go in there. And then when you're done, you just hand them up to me, and I, seal them up, right? And so it's one of those things. By the way, Marty ripped a shirt. If everybody can see it there in the back. You got to leave this in, Robert. Leave this in, team. Yeah, Marty's busting out of his shirt back there. Come on, we got to leave that in.
Oh, geez. I didn't realize I wore that one. I forgot. I forgot that happened, and then I wore it.
So, but anyway, the way we've kind of hacked the system for us was something where I just said, hey, can we find some solutions that, are sealable? I want my kids to eat and drink in the car. I'm not,
Well, that's what I was about to ask. You're that guy?
No. My kids eat and drink, but they don't eat and drink in Dad's car because they don't really. If we're going on a family trip, we're going in the family. Like they're not getting in my BMW very much. My 3-year-old does, but no, I'm like real particular, and I don't want to pass that craziness on to them. So it's like I had to buy a family hauler that was like specific where they could do a lot more, and I know it's crazy, right? Like.
It is.
I know it is.
It's always the challenge, right? There's some fights over this.
Oh, 100%.
There's plenty of fights. There's plenty of those, remember that, don't make me pull this car over, right? Like, there's plenty of that.
Yeah, so no, I don't put my kids through. It's not fair to them, that I'm that picky. So I literally have like my BMW. I don't really think hardly anybody's been in that car. I don't want people to feel awkward. So I've always had like an extra car at my house that if we need to, like our family hauler now, it's like, hey, let's all enjoy ourselves. But I do still take precaution, right? I'm like, hey, make sure the water bottle seals itself up. We have that technology. Just buy that one. If they want some whatever, goldfish or whatever the kids eat as a snack, let's make sure we can just seal it back up. Now, they'll still get everywhere. Let's don't get it twisted. But it keeps it. I've cleaned out bags of that before out of the car seat and the floor.
Yeah.
But for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, it works out really well.
And that's a big way of, like I said, preventing the mess from actually happening. Right, sealing stuff up. But when you get home, hey, if you see that they drop some some crackers, some goldfish,
Yeah, whatever.
smush some banana, and like, hey, go ahead and take a moment to get it cleaned up. It's a great time to use Revive. Perfect time to get Revive out, clean something up that you need to. But then what we're doing here, preventing the mess, and sort of what he's doing is coming back then and then regularly treating the leather with Impress, regularly re-enriching everything.
Yep.
Prevents that mess later of, well, we've all seen bad leather, damaged leather. A mess can be a mess from kids. A mess can also be stuff that gets left too long and starts to create damage.
Yep. And what a lot of people probably don't know is a lot of leather seat damage doesn't come from getting in and out of the car necessarily. I know that the bolsters can get kind of beat up, but most seats start to come apart at the stitching. And so if you have dirt and grime and crackers down in there and you're constantly sitting and getting up, it grinds itself and starts tearing away at the stitching, right? And so we just do a lot of things, and I don't have a perfect system by any means with my family or my cars or anything like that, but one of the things I'll tell people, this guy's pretty similar to me, right? And the only way I know, Pete, to tell people to keep your car, even if you have kids, find things, you're already going to let them drink. Find the things that seal themselves, and even if you dump them over like this, nothing comes out, right? Just drink out of a straw, but it doesn't spill. Some Ziplocs. I'd stay away from the PB&Js and the bananas in the car. I really would, because there's enough for them to eat that's kind of dry goods. And again, I see this a lot. If you're 20 years old and you want to keep your car, I was fanatical about my car. I know you were too, because we were in this industry. One of the things you can do is just never eat and drink in your car. If you're a single guy, single gal.
Hard to do, though.
Very hard. But I mean, I can't remember the last thing I drank in my BMW, if ever. No way I'm taking coffee in my car. Now, you're different than me on that. Marty picked me up with an open coffee the other day. See, that would be, I just know I would spill it.
Yeah, well, that's how I know enzyme works, right? So some places that you have some coffee spills, the reason why I know, not only have I cleaned them up from plenty of people, but I myself am a coffee drinker that rolls around, and we got this bump in the neighborhood. I've now had to start going around that bump a complete different way out of my neighborhood, because that one bump you just always forget about.
Dude,
and then
you
suddenly
got to explain something to me. Like, I'm not saying this publicly. We have literally gotten you 1 million sealable coffee cups here at HQ. There's like 10,000 of them. I mean, we have a vendor that literally gives out awesome ones for free, and you have 100 of them. How did you have an open-faced coffee?
All the time.
Why?
Come on. Those of us that love coffee mugs, you get it, right? Like,
No, they don't. If you get it, you guys are part of the problem. No, I'm telling you, I looked over. I couldn't even watch it. If you notice, when Marty picked me up from the air, I was like, what am I looking at here, dude? He's like, oh, just rolling around.
Hey, the best is we're in the Jeep and I'm shifting with an open.
And I'm like, dude, do you really? I'm not worried about getting in a wreck. I'm like, do you really want to spill that everywhere?
But so we have a product called Enzyme that, if you do have a spill, we have a product designed specifically for that. So you want to prevent a mess, great. You got a lid over it, perfect. Not all of us keep lids on their coffee, right? So you come in with Enzyme, and you mist on Enzyme to the coffee, right? Grab your towel and kind of dab, right? Same as you learn about when you're dabbing stains at home. Spill wine, right? Everybody talks about dabbing, right? Same way here, dab it in, work it in, and the enzymes will break down the coffee, the proteins that's in the coffee.
Yeah, that's a great product. And I'll say this, guys, I just flipped my towel completely a new side, sprayed some Revive on it, wiped the screen. That's been handled. And actually, in a pretty rare feat, this guy's got some stuff here on this screen. You don't see that very often for guys like him. So I can catch it from a different angle, and that's as easy as it is with Revive. And so, yeah, we're all good. We'll check the rear view here. You can actually hit that with Revive too. Get any fingerprints out. You're done. And like I said, guys, we said this on a few other interior videos. The best way to experience your cars like this, I don't care. I mean, Marty, you've been around so many bad cars and so many clean cars. You've driven bad cars. You've ridden and driven cars like this. When you pay what people are paying for cars, this is the no-brainer.
Yeah.
And really, it's not massive changes, right? Like, that's the crazy part, is it's not massive changes. I know it feels like it is. Manage your food and drink properly. If something happens, get to it. And also, empty shoes, gym bags, football pads.
Soccer cleats coming off of the rainy day soccer, and then they just go step in the car, and you go, what are you doing?
So here's a cool.
Take those off out, shake them, get those, or keep a bag with you, a backpack. There's team backpacks, or you just get an old backpack and just throw your shoes in there.
Yep.
Right? And that is your shoe bag. That will really help keep that grass from ever getting into the car.
That bag's got to come out when you get home.
Right.
Right? The bat bag, the football pads, that stuff's got to come out of the car. Right? Put a little
that
cubby.
Smell. You want to prevent a mess? There's a smell that derives. Yeah. Come on. All of us know.
I remember my pads. I remember my stuff. Like, this is not a judgment, but these little things, we see a lot of people keep golf bags and golf shoes, and they're like, man, my interior's not smelling. It's like, dude, your golf shoes are sweaty and it's 100 degrees out. You got to get this stuff out of there. Set up a little place in your garage to store this kind of stuff. Get it out of your car. Also, it's better for that stuff. It airs that stuff out, gets some fresh air to it, and it keeps your car. And again, guys, nobody's perfect. My family hauler is my family hauler. But if people and family members of mine have got into our family hauler and go, your guys' car looks way better than even ours, and we don't have a family. Some of these older, people in my family, I'm like, yeah, man, it's not rocket science. A vacuum, a couple good products, get stuff out of there. Just make sure you bring stuff in the house, put stuff in the garage where it goes, keep it out of there, and you guys will have a great experience. And I know this all sounds simple, but we get a lot of phone calls and a lot of conversations around this kind of stuff, so I hope this helps everybody.
Absolutely. Great tips for preventing a mess. So if you enjoyed it, hey, click subscribe. Go ahead and like this video. We'll see you on the next one. If you want to support American-made car care, go to hypercleanstore.com. Get some Impress, Revive, Enzyme, some things to prevent you from having a mess in your car. Thanks for watching.